Staying on top of your health means regular checkups from your doctor. However, there are a few tests that your doctor probably won't check unless you ask.
This is pretty interesting. Some of those tests could actually extend your life. Our medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, joins us to break it all down this morning. Dr. Kohli, thanks for being here.
Good morning, ladies.
So this is really, really interesting.
Yes.
We're excited to talk about this today. What is the first test your doctor wouldn't think about ordering and why?
And you need to ask your doctor for this test. It's called Lipoprotein A. So it's a fat marker in the blood. And generally what doctors have been used to ordering for many decades is just your regular cholesterol. But this is a separate test. And 90% of it is genetically determined. So you could be tall, you could be short, you could be heavy, you could be skinny. You could still have an elevated lipoprotein A. In fact, 20% of us are walking around with it elevated, not realizing. And it's a marker that's elevated your entire life. And if it's elevated, it can cause heart attacks, strokes, valve disease. It can even cause adverse pregnancy outcomes. So you could have a miscarriage or preeclampsia. So pretty much every single adult needs to have this test checked. And the reasons doctors haven't been checking it is up until recently, we didn't know what to do with the information. We didn't know what it did and we didn't know how to alter it. But now it's actually made its way into the guidelines as of this summer. And so many doctors haven't caught on yet. And as a cardiologist, this is so frustrating for me because patients come into my office, they've never even heard of the test. In fact, sometimes I'll order it and the primary care doctor hasn't even heard of the test. So write it down, lipoprotein A, if you haven't had it checked.
Lipoprotein A.
Yes.
Two questions about that. It sounds like you should ask for it at a pretty young age if it can affect pregnancy, number one. And number two, what can be done about it? Because you're saying this isn't just like heavy people, this could be anyone.
Right. So exactly right. So pretty much every adult should have it checked once in their life. I'm checking my 20-year-olds. They come in for palpitations or something else, I'm getting it checked. So if you're an adult who hasn't had a lipoprotein A, you get it checked. And your second question is a little more complicated because we don't yet have a treatment, but it's cooking. So they're studying treatments that lower this to see if they reduce heart attacks and strokes, and that's kind of coming next year. But for young women, for example, who have an elevated lipoprotein A, I might put them on aspirin before they get pregnant, and that would reduce their risk of having a pregnancy loss. Or if you're an older person that has an elevated lipo A, same thing, I might start an aspirin on you, reduce your risk of heart attacks.
That's really
I
interesting.
took a baby aspirin because we had complications.
Yeah.
We had complications. I have no idea what my lipoprotein A is, but we did have complications. They started the baby aspirin and we had no problems
Well,
afterwards.
we'll check it now,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
so
you'll report back
interesting.
to us.
Okay, second test has to do with your kidneys. Talk about that.
Yeah, so this is a urine test, not a blood test. So the way that doctors are used to checking kidney function is to check a blood test. Kidneys filter our blood. So if this marker called creatinine goes up in the blood, that means your kidneys are not doing a good job of filtering. However, if the kidneys are doing an okay job of filtering, but they're stressed out while filtering, they leak protein into your urine. So checking this test called microalbuminuria, which is a microscopic protein in your urine, can tell us if your kidneys are getting stressed out, even though that number in the blood looks okay. So they're doing their job, but they're under stress while doing it. And if you check it and they are getting stressed out, not only do you change the medications, do you change the way that you treat them, but you actually start thinking this person might be heading for kidney disease before the blood test has declared itself.
Okay, last test. It's not blood, it's not urine, it's an X-ray test.
Wow.
That's right. So anyone over the age of 40 needs to have an X-ray of their heart. So the way we think about checking our breasts for breast cancer is mammograms. It's an X-ray. Well, why don't we look for plaque or blockages in the arteries around the heart with an X-ray rather than guessing whether you have plaque based on blood tests? And this is an out-of-pocket test. It costs about $100, but you should get it every 3 to 5 years, and it tells you whether you already have plaque. So this is a test you want to get a 0 on because that means you have no calcium, and calcium sticks to plaque. But if you already have calcium in your 40s, I have a young friend, she's 42, she already has plaque.
Wow.
I'm jumping up and down to change her medications to reduce her risk of heart attack.
$100 to learn that information and correct it, it's worth it. Yeah.
Really interesting, Dr. Kohli. Thank you so much. And you can always find all of Dr. Kohli's appearances at 90s.com/Dr. Kohli. Chris?